the Battle of Yarmouk, 40,000 versus 240,000. Hey everyone, welcome to this explainer. Today, we're unpacking an absolute historical anomaly, something that completely defies conventional military logic. We're talking about a masterclass in strategy, endurance, and conviction that literally rewrote the map of the ancient world. It's one of history's most impossible underdog victories, and honestly, I can't wait to get into it.
Section 1. The Impossible Odds. The setup in 636 AD. So, picture this. The year is 636 AD, and the Byzantine Empire, an absolute juggernaut, has deployed a massive army to completely crush a relatively tiny Muslim force at a place called Yarmouk.
What if I told you that just 40,000 desert warriors defeated the world's absolute strongest empire? I mean, no way, right? It's an anomaly that breaks literally every single rule of traditional warfare. Imagine a tiny, isolated force not just surviving against a global superpower, but actually bringing it to its knees. To really grasp how this mathematical impossibility went down, we need to look at the raw data.
Now, what's really interesting about this slide is the sheer crushing scale of that number, 240,000. Historians recorded that the Byzantine Empire deployed nearly 250,000 Roman troops. Just think about the immense logistical nightmare of supplying, moving, and organizing that many people back in the ancient world. This wasn't just an army, it was a massive, highly funded war machine designed to overwhelm and eradicate through sheer weight and volume. It was basically a moving city.
And opposing them? Just 40,000. That was the entire Muslim fighting force. We are talking about a terrifying 6-to-1 disadvantage here. Statistically speaking, every single fighter in the Muslim army would have to take down 6 highly trained Byzantine soldiers just to break even. Any conventional general looks at this numerical deficit and, well, they see an unsolvable problem. But this battle wasn't fought on paper. It was a complex tactical puzzle, and raw numbers really only tell half the story.
Which brings us to Section 2, a tale of two armies, head-to-head. Because the odds were actually even worse when you look at the qualitative differences.
And this brilliantly illustrates the stark contrast between the two forces. On the Roman side, we see the absolute pinnacle of 7th century military tech. We're talking steel armor, heavy cavalry, archers, and virtually endless supply chains. But here is a critical, often overlooked fact. Wearing 50 pounds of interlocking steel in the blistering Middle Eastern heat is physically exhausting. It literally turns a soldier into a walking oven. On the flip side, the Muslims had simple weapons and light armor, no massive supply chains at all. But they were completely adapted to the climate and possessed this unstoppable, unifying morale. It was a clash of heavy, exhausting resources against light, unwavering agility.
Moving right along to Section 3, the master strategist, Khalid ibn al-Walid. Let's shift our focus from the physical resources to the tactical genius who actually had to solve this deadly puzzle.
Okay, let's dive into this. Khalid ibn al-Walid absolutely understood that fighting the Romans on their own terms, matching heavy infantry against heavy infantry, was just a mathematical trap. So what does he do? He throws out the traditional playbook entirely. He developed a brilliant three-pronged strategy to neutralize that massive Byzantine size advantage. First up, speed. He kept his forces incredibly mobile. Second, mobile cavalry. He used them to constantly outmaneuver the much slower, heavily armored Roman units. And third, the absolute cornerstone of the entire operation, terrain strategy.
He recognized that the battlefield itself could literally be weaponized. Terrain strategy, in this context, meant turning the earth into a giant trap. Khalid used the geography of the Yarmouk Valley with its steep, jagged ravines and super sharp drop-offs to completely strip the Romans of their mobility. Think about it. A 240,000-man army is vast, it's cumbersome, and it desperately needs wide-open plains to operate effectively. By drawing them into the deep ravines of Yarmouk, those massive Byzantine numbers instantly became a claustrophobic liability. They were bottlenecked, crammed together in a space where their endless supplies absolutely couldn't save them.
Now for Section 4. 6 days to collapse, the battle unfolds. Let's get into the actual timeline of the clash because the urgency here is just incredible.
Let's move to and see how this builds over a grueling 6-day timeline. Day 1. The trap is meticulously set. The Byzantine forces are lured deep into that constricting, rocky terrain we just talked about. By day 3, the dynamic shifts to sustained, brutal combat. The smaller, highly mobile Muslim force continually strikes and repositions, totally exhausting the heavily armored Romans, who are just baking in the heat of the valley. And then, we hit day 6. The pressure becomes absolute. The relentless mobile attacks combined with that claustrophobic terrain finally fracture the Byzantine lines. The giant breaks, and that massive army completely collapses under its own trapped weight.
Bringing us to Section 5, History Changed Forever, the Aftermath. It's truly hard to overstate the monumental historical consequences of this upset. The impossible had truly happened.
So the crucial point is, the strongest military machine of the era was thoroughly dismantled by a fraction of its size. The defeat at Yarmouk permanently crippled Byzantine power in the region. But the broader insight here is just profound. Overwhelming resources and technological dominance simply do not guarantee victory. Even today, whether you're looking at modern asymmetric conflicts or, massive corporate rivalries, an agile, highly motivated force that perfectly leverages its environment can completely dismantle a slow-moving giant. Superior strategy and morale literally altered the course of human history in 636 AD.
Which leaves us with this final thought. Would you survive the Battle of Yarmouk? If you were standing in the dust of that jagged valley, trapped right in the middle of a clash between endless steel and unstoppable agility, how would you have navigated the chaos? It's a fascinating tactical thought experiment, right? Thank you so much for joining me to unpack this masterclass in military strategy. Keep questioning the impossible, and I'll catch you in the next explainer.